Day, January the 7th, 1896. Two museums, studying labels on insects, being in want of advice and not in a good temper. It is the quietest place I know, and the most awkward. The staff here have reached such a pitch of propriety that one cannot ask the simplest question. If people are forward, I can manage them. But if they take the line of being shocked, it is perfectly awful to a shy person like me. Still, one must persevere.
Beatrix has now got a microscope with high power, and she's watching the spores grow and making drawings of them. Her Uncle Harry, Sir Henry Roscoe, was an eminent chemist, encouraged her, and now they were ready to go to Kew to show her work to the professional botanists.
I was rather agreeably surprised before getting up this morning to receive a message, Sir Henry's love, and would I be ready to start for Kew at 9:30, which romantic elopement took place in a rush via Earl's Court Station. I only hope I shall remember separately the 5 different gentlemen with whom I had the honour of shaking hands.
Sir Henry, what a pleasure.
How do you do?
And this must be your niece. How do you do, Miss Potter?
How do you do?
Come along, Beatrix.
We returned to the director's office, accompanied by Mr. Massey, a very pleasant, kind gentleman who seemed to like my drawings. The director turned out to be a thin, elderly gentleman in summery attire with a dry, cynical manner.
Director, may I introduce Sir Henry Roscoe and his niece, Miss Potter?
Sir Henry, how thoughtful of you to allow me to see Miss Potter's work. Are these your sketches?
They really are very good, Miss Potter. Do you not agree, Director?
Yes. Well, they're pretty enough. Hardly scientific. They lack, if I may be so bold, diagrammatic detail. Still, good try. What? Tell me, Sir Henry, what do you think of our occupation of Egypt?
Well, I hadn't really considered it.
Bad show for the English onion industry. Bad show all round, I'd say. What? What?
Yes, precisely.
Mr. Thistleton Dyer did not address me again. I mentioned this not with resentment, for I was getting dreadfully tired, but I had once or twice an amusing feeling of being regarded as young.
Beatrix was one of the first people in this country to recognize mycorrhiza, and she had her own ideas about the lichens where a fungus and an alga grow together. These were new and exciting ideas, but could she get the authorities at the Natural History Museum and at Kew to believe she'd really got it right?
I did not see Uncle Henry again until Friday the 10th. He immediately informed me that he had received a letter from Mr. Thistleton Dyer, which was rude and stupid.
Uncle Henry?
The man's a fool, a pompous ass. It says here, it says here that Kew does not share your interpretation of the evidence. Really?
Let me see what he says.
Yes, well, later perhaps. Still, we'll show them, won't we, Beatrix? We'll teach Thistleton Dyer a thing or two, eh? Now, what was it you wanted me to see? Something new?
Yes, look. You see, I think that a penicillium derived from a poisonous fungus might have a different chemical action from a harmless mushroom. My paper on the germination of the spores was read at the Linnaean on April the 1st, 1897. I was not allowed to attend, so Uncle Henry waited on my behalf.
Ah, Sir Henry, how kind of you to wait.
Well, how did it go?
Very well. Very well indeed.
Is that all? Were they not impressed?
Yes. Well, some members of the society ventured to express the opinion that it required more work on it before it warranted publication.
Did they indeed? Oh, thank you, Mr. Massey. I'm much obliged for your interest. I shall tell Beatrix of the Society's considered opinion. Good evening, sir.
Yes, well... Good day, Sir Henry.
To Charles Mackintosh, Inver, Dunkeld, Scotland. My paper was read at the Linnaean Society and was well received, according to Mr. Massey. But, they say, it requires more work before it is printed. It is odious to a shy person to be thus snubbed, especially when that shy person happens to be right.
The Linnaean paper was never found, and after the rejection, Beatrix appeared to lose heart altogether over fungi. She decided to take up a suggestion that had been made some years before by Annie Moore, that she turn her letters to children into books. She borrowed back the letters from the children, and she set to work on Peter Rabbit first. Her manuscript was rejected by publisher after publisher, and in the end, Beatrix decided that she would have it printed herself. The following year, 1902, Peter Rabbit was published by Frederick Warne in the version that we know so well today. And Beatrix Potter was on the road to fame and fortune. But it was in Scotland, and through her childhood memories of Dalguise itself, that she first peopled her imagination.
Beatrix! Master Bertram! Tea time! Where are you? Bertie!
Dalguise has changed now, and many familiar faces are gone. But the greatest change was in myself. I was a child then. I had no idea what the world would be like.